Hello, I'm William Madison from the BRC, and I'm very lucky to be joined once again by Lisa Hooker, the UK consumer markets leader from PwC. Lisa, how are you going?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Very well, very well. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about consumer sentiment, at obviously what is quite a critical time for the UK economy. So can you go a little bit into the findings that you had in your most recent CS report?
Well, we've been measuring consumer sentiment since 2007 by asking consumers, do you think you're going to be worse or better off over the next 12 months? And we've just done that survey very recently. And what is great is that throughout the pandemic, actually, consumer sentiment has been amazingly resilient. We did see a drop in March as we went into the national lockdown, but it's slowly come back. So the low point in March was minus 26, but it's now at minus 1, which is much higher than any time during the global financial crisis, and quite close to what we saw in December when we had that post-election bounce. And the good thing is the improvement is across all ages and all regions. So it does look like people are pretty confident about their personal finances.
So why do you think it is that people are feeling so positive against what is quite a strange backdrop?
Well, there's many reasons, but one of the key ones is that people tell us they actually have more money in their pocket to spend. Over 60% of the people surveyed said they've either not been affected financially or actually have managed to save money since the lockdown. Not surprisingly, the government assistance has helped an awful lot. And also the fact that people have not been able to spend on going out and travelling, and also probably aren't buying the same amount of clothing if they're not actually moving so far from their home as they would be usually. But what was interesting is that even looking forward, people are still quite optimistic. There's a lot of chat about unemployment going up, but the overwhelming majority said they don't think they'll be affected. And if they lose their job, they believe they'll be able to get a further job, and don't really expect to need to economise or postpone expenditure. You know, we will need to follow this quite closely in the coming months as furlough comes off, albeit there is the job support scheme, but it'd be interesting how things do evolve as we come into peak trading.
So does that mean that it's mainly good news for retailers then?
Well, although confidence is really strong, people's spending intentions have changed. They are more than ever saying, actually, we're going to be quite cautious and are less likely to spend, either because they can't spend on things like holidays or there's fewer events to spend. So people are being quite selective on what they're going to spend their money on as we come out of this crisis.
So what might people spend their money on?
Not unsurprisingly, at the moment, the two categories people say they're going to increase their spending is grocery and home improvement. Those categories are not unsurprisingly more resilient than others. You know, in the lockdown, people were obviously having to spend on grocery as they were going out less. They were sat in their home, one thinking, can I improve my home? I need the best technology I can have. So you can imagine why these have been strong. And what is quite interesting is that the over 65s are more likely to spend on technology now than ever before, probably if that's the way they've been sort of keeping in contact with friends and family. The other thing is actually home and nesting had already been going up in terms of prominence prior to the pandemic, as we're spending more time at home, we're downloading, we're getting home deliveries. And so what the pandemic has done is really just accelerated that trend. And we've really seen the home improvement bounce as soon as people could get out there spending. One note of caution though, if unemployment does kick in, you might see actually a bit of slowdown in some of those big ticket areas.
So what does this all mean for retailers in a sort of a succinct way?
It's perhaps a little early to tell, but uncertainty is always a challenge in retail. You know, changes in the COVID rules, government support, or even how people are able to shop can all affect confidence and spending habits. With so much unknown at the moment, it is going to be quite a tricky run up to Christmas and Golden Quarter. I think one of the real issues is juggling how much stock to buy. So you don't want stock out, but you don't want to be overstocked and have to discount. So I was saying to friends that you might want to buy that must-have present earlier rather than later this year. But it is good news that people do have money to spend. It just means that retailers have to pivot what they're offering to try and attract that money from people's wallets. So hopefully there are some opportunities for retailers as we come up to this peak trading period.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Lisa, for joining me today. There's a lot for retailers to think about ahead of the golden quarter. So look forward to speaking to you soon.
Thank you, William. Speak soon.
And that's it for us here today. Goodbye for now.